Hey guys, been quite a while, but thought we'd talk about some movies, maybe a movie. For some reason on here it's saying I'm playing Mafia 3. I am playing Red fucking Dead Redemption. Yeah. Okay, well, I thought something fell, but obviously that's besides the point. Take my daily multivitamins. No, they are not autism pills. Let's get this going. We are not going to play Undead Nightmare because it's not nighttime, so I can't think of any excuses for that. Create a new save game. My cloud, I have a gigabyte free, so like why not? And let's see how this goes. I think I'm offline. Pretty game the way it starts. So I'm just setting this up, but in the meantime, what could I talk about with you guys, or for you guys? Saw the new Spider-Man recently. And I'm late on this game, so like if anyone hasn't played this, or like, is like, you're ruining the playthrough, or like, anything like that, what could I say? You know, what really is there to say to you guys? I'm sorry, I guess. But other than that, like, this game's been around for so long. You guys understand where I'm coming from, of course. I haven't played a good cowboy game since Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, and I sold that the day after I bought it, and I was genuinely, like, disgusted in it. I was like, it's Cowboys and Indians, like, multiplayer. I'm gonna take this stupid hat off because, like, I thought I'd pick the closest thing in the house to a cowboy hat, but for now I'll just show you guys my male pattern baldness and whatnot. Anyway, good cowboy movies. Tombstone, I haven't watched. Tombstone with Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell and some other old guy that's really good as the cowboy. I don't know. There we go. Red Dead Redemption. Okay. Let me just type in the... that train. But yeah, being that this is a stream and obviously like my presence on the channel is hopefully much appreciated, I hope I don't have to be talking all the time. Hopefully just you seeing the game, you guys could be grateful for that.
I could not agree with you more, my dear. My daddy settled this land, and I know he'll be looking down on us, pleased at how we help the natives.
Yes, they've lost their land, but they've gained access to heaven.
Oh my god.
But Father, do you mean unless an innocent
The quality really didn't come out that bad. Like, honestly. I just need to check Twitch. It annoys me because I don't know, sometimes the quality will come out like shit and whatnot, but anyway. So, we were listing good cowboy movies, even though I've only seen like one of them. And I don't even know if you would consider No Country for Old Men a cowboy movie, but you know, you got John Wayne movies, you have...
Not only do people now have motor cars, Father, but I
Tommy Lee Jones. There was one with Tommy Lee Jones, it was a Netflix series that I watched for a while too.
No, apparently people can fly. Didn't you hear? Out in Kansas, a man even got a car to fly.
I haven't streamed in so long either, and I feel so bad, because like, I love my little cousin, Ronald. He's like 14. And he always wants me to stream, but the thing is, I never have any motivation or ambition to stream, and it makes me feel so bad. Like, I should have more of that. I should have more motivation. I should, like, you know, kick my own ass, kick my own ass to get myself going sometimes. But I just drag along, and it's not right. It's not right to drag your feet, or like, you know, you only live one life. I don't have glasses. Fuck. And this is really hard to see.
Money isn't everything. There are many things that money cannot buy.
It seems that money can buy voters, though.
So, for the fourth time mentioning this, good cowboy movies, you know, The Good, Bad, the Ugly, Tombstone, another Western, even though it's an anti-Western, No Country for Old Men. I'm just going to keep speaking over the dialogue in the game because, I don't know, I mean, Rockstar did a great job on a game, but I'm just not feeling the whole listening to it. Like, I get it, you know, fuck the Native Americans in the game, fuck you, we're taking your land, you know, white people rule. I don't know, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, when, you know, you're taking over the West, and isn't that what happened? Right? I mean, mind you, I'm awful at history, but you only have to ask me. Wonder if they ever explain the scars on his face.
Armadillo.
As I scratch my face. I'm gonna explain those when I'm older. Well, kids, there's something called acne scar, like down the line when like acne doesn't even exist because a kid just, you know, that comes in their Flintstone gummies, just wipes away hormones and acne and whatnot. Here we are. Gonna move forward. Definitely interesting so far. Okay, look around. It's not like... Oh. Okay. How do I holster? LB. Avatar award unlocked. I think all of that comes with, you know, I'm pretty sure I've done all of this already, haven't I? Okay, well that's not the point. But, yes. I fucked him up. Like, I don't know if he was drunk or like, you know, when you GTA, when you bump into someone, like they crack their head on some shit. But it's pretty funny. Could tweet this in the meantime to let everyone, get everyone in here, right? All my fans, all my loyal fans.
You must be John Marston. Sometimes. I'm Jake. Your friends from Blackwater hired me to guide you. They ain't my friends, but pleased to meet you, Jake. I got the horses saddled up and ready out front.
What do I do? I take a selfie, I guess, right? Isn't that what all the cool streamers do? Supposed to go like, you know, have some thinking face as if you're actually putting thought into the game that you're playing. You know, make some dickhead face. And yeah. You know, like a, because I don't personally, I don't care what people see on this Twitter compared to my personal Twitter. It's not hard to find me if you were to find like all of my personal accounts and whatnot, because if you just tie in last name with that, I mean, I don't think anyone really knows my first name on the channel, which is weird. I don't think I've ever mentioned that once. I'm just gonna speak in the meantime while I tweet this. Streaming, because I'm gonna play this for like 2 hours, so like people could watch that. Streaming, hashtag red. It's Ed. Oh, it needs to, you know, it's case sensitive. You guys have to remember that. Redemption. Spell that right. I know how to spell, don't worry. Fuck, I spelled it wrong. Can't swear. Can't swear on YouTube. They'll take away my money. My $1.52 that I make a month. Red dead. Jesus Christ. Red Dead. Wow! Tongue twister. Red Dead Redemption. Okay. I can spell. It's just like trying to read this. I have a glasses appointment in like 2 weeks. Not like that has any relevance, but I'm saying, you know what's funny? I mentioned before that like that I watched No Country for Old Men like a couple of like maybe recently, and I watched that, to be honest, like a month or two ago. Amazing movie. It's like 2 hours long. It's on Netflix. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's disappointing. It's disappointing, but obviously, like, you know, at the same time, it's like, it's worth watching. It's not like there's any Coen Brothers movie that isn't worth watching. For example, like Fargo, the Fargo series. I'm not sure if they worked on that too, I would imagine. Take away that picture. Yeah, we'll do that. What else do people hashtag? PS4, COD, you know, come on. COD, IW. Obviously, people love watching that, right? Streamer, right? Twitch TV. We'll take away COD, IW, because... Okay, streaming hashtag... Tweet. Boom. Done. Okay, so, what I really want to talk about here was the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. Boys, okay? Boy oh boys. The Spider-Man Homecoming movie.
Take it slow on the way out of town. No need to kick up a lot of dust.
So holding A is a decent pace. Wait. Okay, RB is to stop your horse, just like any other game. Ah, so you don't slam into the train, I see. I wonder why my viewers are fluctuating.
That's right.
I mean, okay. So we're following this guy now? I guess he's gonna wait up. You are riding close to a companion. You could hold A to match their speed.
Are you planning on spending any time in Armadillo, Mr. Marston?
Okay. It's definitely very useful, but I remember a lot of people
Well, if you're fixing for some
get annoying.
female company, you can do a lot worse than Armadillo. Fine as cream gravy they are.
Because it makes me think, like, you must go fast, or you must be able to go fast, I guess. But anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought I'd talk about some westerns while this video game opens up, but in the meantime, while we're riding, I guess I could talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. So, brilliant. Like, blew me away. I don't even know where I could even start. Like, wow. Like, this movie genuinely blew me away. I just realized the sound's coming out of the TV, and it's really gonna annoy me. Guess I could hold A, and he will follow him, I would hope. Does he?
You ain't very talkative, are you?
No, he's not gonna let him follow him. Fuck, I don't have my left hand.
I don't mean nothing by it.
Trust me, there's things you better off not knowing.
Amazing welcome back. Amazing welcome back stream. A welcome as if, like, you know.
You don't look much like no Blackwater fella.
That's because I
Let
ain't.
me go forward and lower this volume on TV to nothing and continue as I was saying. So, Spider-Man Homecoming. I talked about No Country for Old Men for like 5 minutes. I can't really remember much from that, but Spider-Man Homecoming is still slightly fresh in my mind, so I thought, why not give that a little discussion, but open up with a game. New game. I really should have talked about No Country for Old Men in this video, which I'm probably going to end up doing because it's a stream, and people will be like, okay, so he's talking about No Country for Old Men. So if I title it No Country for Old Men. So my discussion of Spider-Man, brilliant, great. Almost made me think I liked it more than the first one, but nothing will give me the same feeling that the first one, the 2002 Sam Raimi movie film did. Ooh. Just over the hill. So, great. Spider-Man Homecoming was amazing. It was great, but it will never, ever, ever carry the same feeling that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies did. So, That being said,
Some gang rode in and
No Country for Old Men, I haven't watched really any Westerns in my life, but this being considered an anti-Western actually made me want to watch Westerns. And I know we just flip-flopped from video games to vitamins to Spider-Man Homecoming to da-da-da, because my Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is coming in the mail because I saw the web slinging in it. I'm like, I have to buy this. I have to get my hands on it. I have to play it. Even if it's shit, I will still enjoy spinning around the city for, like, you know, spinning webs around the city for a solid, like, what, 15, 20 minutes, probably like 2-3 days of gameplay I could get out of it if I'm really pushing through it. But alas, that is besides the point, my friends. No Country for Old Men.
Bill!
As the title is streamed.
Bill, I've come for you!
As the stream is titled, No Country for
Bill
Normies.
Williamson!
I'm exhausted. I mean, I got a decent amount of sleep, but like just throughout the week, I like lose sleep with work. And it just sucks. And with school too, like I really wanted to carry my streaming into school this whole last year, but as you saw, like I only did maybe, I don't think I really did that many videos after my off to college video. I did like 3 or 4 more, but they were all just lazy and just thrown out there. Disconnected from Xbox Live. Let's see if the stream got disconnected.
Bill, please. They want to kill us all.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to watch a Bud Light ad in the meantime. But as you can see here, John Marston is about to be gunned down. But I'm assuming this is when the Deadeye effect comes into play, so you could kind of good, the bad, and the ugly them.
You implore me? You implore me.
I wonder who they have to voice these guys. 2018, when that new game drops, people are gonna be amazed. There you go. It's still working. Oh, there we go. And that phase zoom is so nice because it like gets perfect. I don't know. I just hate when the camera could see my whole body and nobody could actually see me speaking. But almost forgot that I was on camera. But my eyes hurt so much. What was I saying? So yeah, No Country for Old Men opens up with what I remember. With Javier Bardem being picked up off the side of the road by a police sheriff. He gets pulled over and he's taken in, and he's on the run. He has a canister of CO2 on him, and he's taken to the sheriff's house. I'm not sure if I remember this movie point for point, but I will pick up on the parts that I liked, the parts that I didn't like, the parts that disappointed me here and there. I just need to, you know, kind of have a Jimmy Neutron brain blast if I want to think of anything that I couldn't necessarily remember, can't remember. But as I was saying, he gets picked up, he gets brought to the sheriff's house. Javier Bardem is playing our character, our main character, our antagonist, our villain. You know, there's 3 characters in this. There's 3 different stories being spun in a way, all intertwined on this one guy, Anton Chigurh, who Javier Bardem is playing. I think, hands down, he's he should be in the top 10 most terrifying movie villains, because he's evil exemplified. He's evil personified. Like, he's pure concentrated evil in a human being. Like, between his actions, between his carelessness, he's a psychopath. And it takes place, if I'm correct, in Texas. But you know what? No promotion here, but Siri, where does No Country for Old Men take place?
He got the bullets out a couple days ago. All right, here's what I got. Cost us $15.
Yes, Texas desert in the 1980s, from what I remember.
Did you want to die?
And it's like the United States-Mexican border. That's why the drugs and the cowboys and the Mexicans and the da-da-da. There were no Native Americans in that movie, really, except for Javier Bardem. Anton Chigurh, I'm pretty sure he was Apache. If I'm even saying that right, that's embarrassing if I'm not, but that's besides the point. Hello, Castiel and Dean and Ronald. What's up, guys?
For old time's sake.
But he's evil personified, this character, Anton Chigurh. And he's so, like, I can't, like, he's just pure evil, like, in a human being. Just his, you know, the fact that he's a psychopath, like I said, his psychopathic nature, and the way he goes about things, the way he speaks, the way he has no regard for human life. He's only after, I think, if I'm correct, it was $2 million inside of a suitcase. Pretty sure, and it was all in unmarked bills and whatnot. And, you know, there's a tracker in it. It's just crazy, amazing movie. No soundtrack at all throughout it. Let me mention that first. A lot of people call that the silence of God. And I guess that was to put emphasis on the scene that I'm going to follow up with. So when he's brought to the sheriff's place, or, you know, the precinct, you know, the police precinct, or the, you know, the local, you know, the local police station, there we are. And he's in the cell, or he's, you know, locked up on the bench. He wiggles out the handcuffs from behind him, under his butt, under his legs, under his feet, and in front of him. And while the other sheriff is on the phone, he throws the handcuffs over his neck, pulls him back once he hangs up the phone, and strangles him to death for a solid 2 minutes on the floor. And mind you, being that there's no crazy soundtrack, crazy rock and roll playing, or I don't know what you would even play in a movie where someone's being strangled. I guess maybe if it's something apocalyptic. Jesus Christ, did he get hurt that bad? Like the way he grabbed the side? Did you guys see that? I forgot you run awkwardly in this game too, but here we are. Can you jump over stuff?
Back in the land of the living, I see.
Yes, hello. It's another speaking and walking simulator in the beginning, but let's get back to the movie.
The horses are saddled up over here.
He gets, you know, taken in, like I said. His CO2 canister is compromised. It's a cattle rod, actually. And just to explain his weapon, his signature weapon, a huge prop in the movie. So if you ever see a minimalistic poster and it's a big canister, just have in mind, you know, the movie surrounds money, cowboys, Mexican drug lords. It's so well-rounded, and like the different characters, like all of them, like a movie that has depth in each character is a well-done movie. Like, you don't have to have a great story, but if characters have depth and you can become attached to them, or you could emotionally feel for these characters, or think about like what they're thinking, or feel for them, or understand their situation, then I believe that makes that can make a great film. Obviously, you want a good opening, you want a good ending, you want good shots. You're not gonna have, you know, a Locke, for example, very quickly before I move on to the rest of No Country for Old Men. Locke with Tom Hardy. Okay?
Very convenient.
I hate stores in video games because it's like, why should I have to spend my money if I could just steal it? But that's just the GTA mindset that I'm getting from this rockstar-y feeling that they're giving you in the game, the company.
And here's the corral. This one's for the horses.
I'm gonna lower this so I can like hear myself think. But obviously you guys can still hear it because it's picking up the game volume to a certain level. It doesn't matter what's going into my headphones, but as I was saying... Oh my god, did I forget what I was saying?
That's the train station.
Locke with Tom Hardy takes place in his car, between his wife finding out that he was in an affair, between the woman that he was in an affair with getting pregnant, between... Like, spoilers, obviously, after I just mentioned, like, 2 major points of the movie, but who's really gonna watch this anyway, right? So, Locke with Tom Hardy, spoilers, in case you get this far. Spoilers. If you want to watch it, skip ahead, like, 5 minutes or something. God knows how long I could go on about this for. But, Locke is basically Tom Hardy in his car, gaining an understanding, or finding out that his wife found out that he cheated on her, finding out the woman that he cheated on his wife with is pregnant, finding out that he's gonna lose his job because he's like an architect or something, and like They don't like his building plan. There's just a lot of things going on. But this all takes place being filmed off the dashboard of his car. The camera never leaves the car. The camera never goes to his house. The camera is always watching his face, watching him on the phone, talking into the Bluetooth speaker, the microphone that's built into the dashboard of the car, because, you know, technology. And he's, you know, all these conversation, it must go on for like an hour and a half, but you hear each character, and it's not like a movie where you think like, oh, you know, we're just watching a guy driving his car. This is so stupid. No, you're watching a guy's life crumble in a matter of an hour and a half inside of his car.
Will you help me keep watch on the property
It's
line this evening?
like watching, as people say, or as Tom Cruise said in an interview, it's like watching a car crash in slow motion. I think somebody mentioned something like that. Car crash in slow motion, how it's so beautiful yet awful at the same time. I don't know if anybody said that, but yeah, it's tragic that all of that was happening to him, but I don't think there was much music in that film either, but I'm just saying that is a movie that has deep, deep characters, and I don't know what the fuck my horse is doing. It has well carved out characters. Like, these aren't just like his wife's on the phone, how could you do this to me? Like, no, they have full conversations. They hide it from, they have to hide the things from the kids. They're like this whole time he's stuck in traffic, like late at night, and you're just seeing all of this unfold throughout the phone calls, and it's just, it's, I don't know, it's great. But, like I said, you know, the cattle prods moving back to No Country for Old Men, being that we're going to bounce from movie to movie now, the cattle prods are probably going to stop this at around like 2:30 or 3, because that's when I'm going to eat again, and probably when the UPS guy will come here, but if he comes any sooner. I've only been playing for half an hour, but anyway. Who are we shooting? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, I forgot I'm supposed to, like, have auto aim off from what my roommates told me, because nice shooting text. Oh, I got one more.
You're a good shot, Mr. Marston. That rabbits didn't stand a chance. Let's mount up.
You would think that they would at least put shit, like, inside of the outhouses, not like that's what I'm looking for when it comes down to details in a video game, but, like, it'd be a nice little effect. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure in Deadpool he shits. I mean, I don't even want to get into that because I haven't even watched the movie and I'm not going to rag on him. I just, personally, I don't really care much for Ryan Reynolds. He's alright, but I don't know. I'm going to give Deadpool a shot when I get back to school, like I said, but here we go, back to No Country for Old Men. Boy, oh boy. I have a lot to talk about, that's why it's overwhelming, but like I said, I'm going to break everything down in the next half an hour to an hour. I don't know how anyone is supposed to do this mission without having, what's the word, auto aim on. Like, is this accomplishable, or that's even a word? Like, to me personally, I just don't believe this is, like, doable without auto aim. Of course, I'm shooting the chicken 17 times in his mouth before actually getting the shot off on the wolf. Disease must be, like, so common in this game, between getting, like, splattered with horse blood, and it's so gross. Must have been such a dirty time. Like, everyone probably smelled like shit and sweat because it's so hot. And everyone just worked all day. There's the Deadeye. How long does that last for? That lasts for that long, that Deadeye meter? Ah, but it takes extremely long to, what's the word?
We'll do whatever we can to help you.
I sure appreciate that, Mr. McFarland.
regenerate. But
This is you, Mr. Marston.
you know, he kills the police officer in the sheriff's place. As I said, it's extremely hard to play a game and talk about a movie at the same time. That's why I thought playing something along the same lines, I could think about different things and whatnot. But Javier Bardem, like I said, evil personified, and this sheriff was just on the phone saying, yeah, we finally got the guy. He was speeding down the road. We got him. We brought him in. He's cuffed. Like, you know, thinking he's just this controllable force, but he's not. He's more than that. And when I was watching an analysis on this film, I was thinking, like, spoilers, but people, you know, this man described him as, on YouTube, this man described him as not human. His character, like, not human at all. Like, and it's scary to think that. Wow, there's so many different outfits in this game. Wow. Am I saving this? I guess I'll save until the morning. But they say he's not even human. He's not a being that can be stopped. He is the immovable object, and you know, the other characters try to be the unstoppable force. They try to be something that can stop him. They try to band together, they try to work together, but he just one by one is able to pick them all off. And you know, each character is represented by shots of a windmill throughout the film. The broken one is the one who doesn't play by any rules. Or he has a set of rules, but they're not like the sheriff's, for example, who's played by Tommy Lee Jones. Llewellyn Moss is played by Josh Brolin, and Carla Jean is played by this other woman. I can't really recall what movie she's in or her name at the moment, but that's besides the point. Carla Jean Moss is Llewellyn Moss's wife, played by Josh Brolin, as I just mentioned. And she did an amazing job too. But moving forward from there, he escapes the sheriff's place, and he moves on to down the road to steal someone else's car. Because he takes the police car, he drives down the road, pulls the guy over, and he says, step out of your vehicle. And he takes him out, and he pulls out the cattle prod, or the cattle, not prod, the cattle rod maybe, the cattle, you know, it would basically execute the cattle or kill them by being pressed up against their forehead, and the canister of air would fire a metal rod that would go through their brain and retract back into the pipe, and that would kill them. So that's what he did to the guy, and that's similar to how he treated people, like animals. That was the inhumane way that he would kill everyone. That was his regard for human life, as if everyone was just filthy animals and he didn't care for them. And that's really how people are in the westerns, because they are like wild animals, because the Wild West. And it's just great, because it's not something in the 50s, it's not in the 40s, it's not in the 60s. This is 1980, and this is in Texas, and it has this sense of like
I apologize for my reticence. Hope you believe
he's
me
like,
when I say that it's simply
it has this sense of a Western movie, but it's also destroyed and dismantled by this character and broken down bit by bit throughout the movie, without having like any chance to turn into a Western. You go into this movie seeing this character, and you think he's your main character until you're introduced to Llewellyn Moss, who's hunting, just a regular old cowboy trying to get food, trying to get, you know, make a living for himself, an honest living for himself and his wife. And he comes across this huge shootout with the Mexican drug cartel, and they all had to shoot out in the middle of like this big empty plain land, and you know, everyone's dying, and he turns around, and this is Llewellyn Moss, by the way, played by Josh Brolin, and he turns around and he's thinking like,
let's go.
Like, Jesus Christ, like, he comes across this, and next thing you know, he finds like, God knows how much money stuffed in the back of a truck, like how much cocaine, like, you know, how much money the cocaine is worth, I should say.
You're not gonna be a gentleman about this.
And oh my God, is this good or like bad? Am I doing good? I can't tell. If horse's stamina, I don't want to waste it. Okay, so you just follow the smoke trails. And, you know, we follow this character and we learn that Josh Brolin is our balanced character. Like, he's almost our medium until we, like, our happy medium, until we come across Tommy Lee Jones. And Tommy Lee Jones is both physically, like, on all levels, he is the law. He is the sheriff of the town. And he begins to narrate this movie from what I remember. He opens it up. This isn't just your regular story. And he just goes on to speak about the rest of the movie and whatnot. And, you know, the regular story and letting you know what you're in for and all those different things. I don't know. The movie has a speech at the ending, too, that most people don't really understand. But to me, personally, it's almost like him saying, the worst is over. He's given up his mantle. He's finished. He's dealt with enough. This rickety bridge, I couldn't even get across it. And now she's gonna beat me in this race. I remember, like, if you get an achievement if you beat her, but I'm not sure if it really matters as long as you keep up with her. If you fall too far behind, I'm pretty sure that's where you get in trouble. Does each checkpoint regen your... I'm bad at driving, and I'm awful at this, and then I'm awful at the same time at talking about movies, but if you're in here for the long haul, you're in here for the 2 hours, you're going to stick around, and you're going to hear me explain this movie from beginning to end, my analysis on it, what I think about it. I've watched a 15-minute analysis on this before. That does not make me a film critic, a film analyst. It does not make me anything of the sort. It's just something that I picked from, I found interesting, I thought I'd read about, and I thought it was something that you guys would enjoy to hear about, I would enjoy to hear about, and the fact that this is right now, the mission that I'm playing is the exact mission that I always had trouble with when I was around, like, I don't even know how old I was. I think I borrowed this from a friend, and I never really found any interest. If I'm correct, it was Paul. I borrowed Red Dead Redemption from Paul. Paul's a good guy, as I always say, but...
I bet you're starting to regret your brave words,
there we go.
Lisbeth Barlin.
Beat her, and I finished the mission. This is something that took me years to get past, but I never owned the game in the time between being 14, 15, and...
You should go pay the marshal a visit.
I was probably younger for all I knew. I think I played this on a 360 back when it was on that, but... You know, Josh Brolin's character, big mustache cowboy guy in your face. I am the cowboy of the movie. I'm the regular old cowboy, and like I said, he's hunting, making his honest living, and he comes across this shootout. Because I don't want to keep running through things over and over again, so I'm just going to keep fluently, like water almost, moving through each scene until I come across something that I thought. And right after the man is killed with the cattle prod, we receive a shot of wolves, coyote, animals being shot at, being hunted. And that's what really makes you think, wow. So there was a reason for that, as I seen in the analysis. I mean, like, obviously I should mention that I've seen that in the analysis, but that's not really the point. What I would just like to discuss is just the whole idea of the fact that the people were treated like how he would treat the animals like animals, the people like people, but he knew right from wrong, where you see the right from wrong, the fine line is blurred or thinned when it comes to Anton Chigurh, as he uses the cattle rod, the CO2 canister, to kill the people in inhumane ways, where he doesn't really know the difference between a human and an animal. He doesn't value their life as much as normal people would. He doesn't look at them and think, and just as I said, the windmill that we're looking at right now, the windmill in the movie that's supposed to represent Anton Chigurh, Javier Bardem's character, the psychopath, the antagonist of the film, our anti-Western character, it's supposed to represent him. The tail of the windmill is broken. He has no direction. He goes anywhere. That's why people consider him almost spiritual, almost like a ghost or an angel of death, how he sets out on those rampages and whatnot, or he's out there to just fuck everything up. I mean, there's no better way to put it, but he fucks everything up.
How are you?
And not in like a, oh, you fucked everything up, like a, no, he would destroy everything. I don't want to talk him up as if he's so evil and as if he's a real person, but in the film, he is one bad motherfucker. I mean, like, there's no other way to put it. But, yeah, after the shot of the animals, I didn't really notice it until I watched the analysis, but it makes me think, like, wow, like, alright, sure. You know, now that I'm watching this, it really made me think, and I thought I might as well talk about this or point this out to you guys. The fact that the people were treated like animals, the people that were, you know, how the line was basically thin for Anton Chigurh through this film. There was no, and it's not like, oh, it's his fault, oh, it's his fault, it's this character, it's who he is, that makes us realize that, like, wow, this guy doesn't give a fuck about anyone. He doesn't care if this person's the king of, I don't know, Lawrence of Arabia, right? Some Full Metal Jacket type of line. I don't know. But I don't really know how to word it, but that's besides the point. And even though that's very important for someone, if I wanted to analyze film down the line, obviously that's what writing scripts are for, and jump cuts and putting pictures in front of your face so nobody has to know how shitty you are at talking. No offense to the people who do analyze movies and do slideshows of pictures and just do a voiceover of them and then do cut to cut after they say each line. But kudos to the people who could stand in front of a camera and discuss a movie for 15 minutes straight with little to no cuts. It's hard. Obviously, that's why I'm struggling here for the past 40 minutes, not even getting, I don't know, 10 minutes into the film, but that's the whole point of playing Red Dead Redemption mindlessly while I try to talk about it. But, where are we?
Oh, please. Now who's being funny?
You know, we meet Anton Chigurh, we meet Llewellyn Moss, and when he comes across this huge shootout with the drugs and whatnot, he sees one guy who's still alive, just begging for water, and he's telling him, I ain't got no agua, I ain't got no water, I don't have this for you. And, you know, he's like telling him, like, fuck off. Like, he takes his gun from him, he snatches his gun from him while the man's dying, slings his gun over his shoulder, and he sees, like, a truck, like a pickup bed full of cocaine. And there's, like, an unspeakable amount of cocaine in the back of this pickup truck. And it makes you think, holy shit, like, these guys are really slinging the drugs. There was going to be a big deal going on. And up on a hill, he keeps walking as the sun begins to set. And he notices a man laying up against the tree, dead, obviously, and a ginormous satchel, and he opens it up and he realizes it's a lot of money. The satchel must be about, like, I don't know, a foot high, and he flips the flap off of it, you know, flips the flap and whatnot, flap and the flip, and he sees, you know, I think I must have mentioned around $2 million inside, because if throughout the movie they mention, I want that $2 million, just give me the $2 million, and da-da-da, like, I can't guarantee the safety of your loved ones, da-da-da, you know, because like I said, he has no regard. Does multiple times throughout the movie we see his character does not care. And the analysis really, like, brought a lot of things to light for me. Between the windmills that we see when we're introduced to the sheriff, how the sheriff's windmill is, I think it was the farthest, the closest up, then Llewellyn's is in the middle, or no, Llewellyn's is the closest up because, you know, the main character. The sheriff's is in the middle because he's the happy medium. And then the furthest one in the distance that's broken, if I'm correct, is Anton Chigurh's. Because no sense of direction. He's very out there. He's something off-putting about the character. And, you know, just the breakdown that the analysis gives, if I can give credit or if I can put something in the description to these characters, if I could put a link in the description to the analysis, then that would be great. And I guess I could obviously list the characters in the description and whatnot, but it's really not that important. It's just something to talk and a matter of just something to bullshit about in the meantime while I play this game, and something that would tie along with it. I feel bad for talking over the thing and whatnot. Of course, I can't go to settings right now in the middle of a cutscene, but I'll put captions on, or subtitles, I guess I could say, so you guys are able to see On map waypoint. Wow. Cheat codes that you could just throw on it without even having to type anything in, but you know, we're not cheaters in this game. We're good, honest men. We have made our way to our first town, and we are here to move on to the next part of No Country for Old Men. Llewellyn Moss finds the $2 million in the bag and thinks, well, shit. And he returns to his house, and Carla Jean is thinking, like, you know, he doesn't have the greatest relationship with his wife. Obviously, he loves her, he cares for her very much, but you don't see him speak to her. You don't see him sit down with her. He's always in and out. She says, where are you going? He's like, out. And it's, you know, it's like 2 in the morning, and she's worried for his well-being. She loves him so much, and he needs to get the shit done. He needed to do right, because he regrets not giving the man in the back of the truck, the Mexican drug guy who was part of the shootout, the last one standing, the last man alive there, guarding the truck with the drugs, who basically led him there. The water, he feels awful because he didn't give him water. And I don't have $50, so I don't know who I'm gonna have to kill, but we'll figure that out. And he goes home and he stuffs the MP5 that he finds, the little submachine gun, under the house, and he stuffs the money somewhere in another room, and he goes inside and he fills up the gallon full of water. He takes some of the guns back with him, and he heads back. And this is when the movie really begins to kick off, because when he goes back, he should have just stayed with the money, but he decided to do the right thing. And it's weird because in this film, I guess, I don't know if the Coen brothers or the writers of the story, because this is a novel beforehand, before it became a film, but doing the right thing isn't always the right thing for yourself all the time. So him going out to give this guy dying in the car water, for what reason, I don't know why. I guess he just wanted to, so he didn't die with a dry mouth. I guess he was just being respectful, of course. And he goes out, speaking of water, and he goes out to give him water, and it makes me think, like, wow.
You that fella from the train company.
No,
he really got screwed here, because he gives him the water, and I think he begins to pour it into his mouth, or he begins to give it to him, and two giant pickup trucks pull up over the hill, and he sees them, and they see him in the headlights, because, I mean, with 4 giant headlights, or lights flashing down the hill into the pit, the plain land in the middle where Josh Brolin, Llewellyn Moss is standing or hiding, in the middle of the shootout that happened earlier, where he found the drugs and then he found the money a little off there. They come back, and they're coming back for the money and the drugs, and he's like, holy shit, because they think, or they know, that he took the money. They're like, let's kill this fucker, because he saw this. And Josh Brolin, Llewellyn Moss, I'm just going to call him Llewellyn Moss, he makes a run for it, you know, our cowboy of the film, and they have a pit bull chasing him, and they have these guys with shotguns chasing him, and they're going at it, and, you know, he has the gun still stuffed in the back of his pants. I think he ended up dropping, I think he only came with a pistol, because he thought, you know, I'll come with a pistol, what's going to happen, you know, for example, you know, 12 bullets in the mag, what am I going to run into, he's thinking. What are the odds of me getting fucked if I come back to this deserted, shot-out area in the middle of the desert? Like, how fucked could I really be if I come out here? And quite fucked he was. Because he goes out there, and the trucks come. Like I said, the other Mexican guys come, because there was, like, an unlimited, it was an infinite amount of Mexicans in this movie that were just out to kill everyone. Or go after that money, I should say. But great characters either way, like I said, because each of them carried a lot of depth. No one really got cheated out of their lines. No one really got cheated out of their scenes. Everyone, when they had a say in that movie, they had a say in that movie, and you really, this character stuck with you. Whether it was a character that was in the movie for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you looked at that character and you familiarized with them. You became familiar with that character and you thought, wow, this part, even if they died 5 minutes later, you think, well, shit. Like, for example, and that's really all out of this movie. And you'd be able to figure that out. And I know that's not that specific, but if you mention the skyscraper, the high building, the two rich guys in the one room, people will know what scene you're talking about. And that's what's so great. It's so simple, but at the same time, it has this depth to it that it carries, and it's just...
Let's go deal with them hoods.
I don't know.
Then we'll discuss Williamson.
It left me thinking for a few days. Usually I take a break. If I see a movie one day, I take a break for a couple of days, and I really let the movie sink in. Almost like letting wine age. And I know that's not like a great analogy because it makes me sound like some kind of whatever would care to throw at me for saying that. But wow. I mean, it sticks. It's a movie that sticks with you. There's someone that I know from my job, and they told me whenever that movie's on, they have to watch it. They just put it on, they throw it on, and if they see it on the guide, if they see it on there, they will watch that movie. And I don't blame them because these directors they're geniuses. But where was I?
Interesting approach to law enforcement.
I do what I can, Mr. Marston. We ain't the government.
He's chased down the hill away from the drug shootout, and he's fired. And Llewellyn Moss is chased, and you really feel it. You really feel for him there, and you're thinking, holy shit, you know, he only has one gun, and these guys are coming down the hill, and they're chasing with a truck, and he's running for his life through this field, and they're right at him, and they're right near him, and they're... Okay, so I could whistle for my horse. All right, well, let's chase this guy. Oh, wait, where's my horse? There we go. All right, and you really feel it. You really feel like the blood's pumping, and Llewellyn Moss he's running through this field, and the pickup truck is jumping over hills. And similar to the animal concept, it's almost galloping after him like a horse. And cars in this film, the way the truck would fly over the hills is almost similar to the way a horse would gallop through a field, as if, like this, for example. And it was gaining on him, and he was running through the field, sliding down the hill, and he sees a river. And, you know, I think he tossed one of his guns, or he kept his gun on him. He kicks his boots off, and he gets shot in the arm. He gets caught by a bullet in the arm, from what I remember. Or in the leg. It's hard to remember, but he's wounded. He's wounded on his way down, and you're thinking, holy shit. And they sick the dog after him. They say sick him or whatever. Or the dog is just knows this is the guy we're chasing. Let me continue to chase him, because if I bring him back, they'll be happy. You know, I'll get a reward. Whatever dog concept thing. I don't know if this guy was even meant to get away. I guess we must have. Okay, so we followed him down to the house.
Looks like we got company, boys.
Okay, so we're gonna have a classic shootout here. What's up, TTT Bucket 96? And you know, you're thinking, holy shit, and he kicks his boots off, and he's shot at, and he dives into the river, and the dog goes right after him, and he's going and going and going, and you're thinking, like, holy fuck, like, is he gonna get away? And he's swimming, and it's so, I don't think riveting is the correct word, but it's so, like I said, it gets your heart racing, your blood pumping, because our character, Llewellyn Moss, ow, is being chased by Mexicans and by a pit bull, like, and this dog is swimming fast on him because he gets caught in the current of the river, and as he's sent down this river, you think, that's it. Like, you think that's it. Like, he's gonna hit the waterfall, he's gonna die. You're not even entirely sure of what's about to happen, but you know something's gonna happen. So you fear for him. You fear for him a lot. And, you know, luckily, he gets up on the side of this little piece of land, and he turns around, and he takes the gun out, he empties the clip, you know, he's trying to dry this gun out, because obviously something, I guess, gun logic, you can't really fire a gun off. Another thing, Coen Brothers geniuses, because if you turned around and just started firing the gun that was just in the middle of a river, it's not gonna work, I guess, as a normal gun would. You can't really get a gun wet or drop a gun, you know, in the water. You don't really see a gun picked up out of water in movies and fired. But yeah. And wow, like holy shit, like, and then he pieces the gun back together just in time, and right as the pit bull is in the air, about to pounce on him, he finally pieces the gun back together and fires into the dog's chest. Guys, this is a movie, by the way. I'm not talking about some wild outback bayou story crazy story that I had with my cousins or something like that. This guy in the dick real quick. You know, nothing crazy. I'm not some hick from Tennessee, I guess you could say. No offense to anyone in Tennessee. I know that sounds extremely rude, and you know, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that if anyone here is from Tennessee, but you know what? I guess, you know what? Fuck Tennessee. I'll say it now. Who cares? What are the people from Tennessee gonna do?
Inside the house. Take him alive
But
if you can.
oh, this guy is gonna get he's gonna get it. Like, he's gonna get the hands right now. I know I can't put dead eye on my fists, but where is he? Right here?
He's making a run for it. Take him alive if you can. It has been a pleasure, Marshal.
How do I punch? Oh, okay, alright. We're gonna fuck him up.
Come on, shoot that bastard.
Hit me, pal. Hit me.
Oh, wait. Oh, fuck, I can't get shot again. Alright, here we go. Sorry, gotta pause the whole movie explanation real quick. Did I not kill him? Is that bad?
Not a bad shot.
Guys, is that like, was I not supposed to kill him? I hope, like, me beating him to a pulp, hopefully, didn't kill him. Okay, wait. Oh, no, he's tied up. He's tied up on the thing. Good. So you just knock him out, I would assume. Washed. I can't really pronounce your name. I'm sorry. But, like I said, fires around into the pit bull's chest, and the pit bull lands on him. And it's a heavy dog, and it knocks him over on his back. And he throws it must have been, God knows how much. I'm gonna say 50 pounds, for example, because this is a big dog. And this dog falls on his chest, and he's knocked down right as he fires a round into its chest. And as my girlfriend texted me a few minutes ago saying I'm playing Brokeback Mountain Simulator, quite insulted by that, because this game is it's another movie I could watch for sure. I mean, it's not like your everyday Western, and it's not really gonna, you know, my honor. I'm assuming you could see that through the journal. Through stats. Drifter? Okay, so I guess you become popular through time and whatnot. But, as I was saying, this dog lands on him, he finally slips away, and this is where the chase begins. This is where it begins. He gets back to his house late at night, and he tells his wife, "You gotta go." And he takes his mother-in-law, his wife's, you know, his wife's mother, for example, not for example, that's the way it is, has, as she says, the cancer. She has the cancer. You know, what about my ma and the cancer? She says, "I got the cancer." You know, it's sad. It's sad because you think in the 80s, obviously, cancer is way more severe. I just headbutted that guy with my horse. Compared to now, so it's just sad. It's an old cranky mom, and she's just, you know, and the daughter-in-law is doing what she can, and he has this plan, and he says, "You gotta go. You gotta take this money, and you have to go." And she takes the money, if I'm correct. No, he takes the money. I think he gives her some money. He gives her a couple of grand or something, and he says, you know, like, fuck off to Mexico. Go to Mexico. Go to wherever you can, because he wants to protect her. It's Carla Jean Moss, his wife. He loves her. And he tells her, "You gotta go." And she's like, "Why? Why? 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 And, you know, she's terrified. She fears for him. She's like, why are you acting like this? You know, she gets suspicious of him. But he's only caring for her. And unfortunately, he can't say, listen, I just saw a bunch of dead Mexicans in a field and I stole money from them. She's just got to accept the fact that he came across this money. It is what it is. And I'm probably gonna die if I fall off this hill. But we're gonna try to find our way down anyway. But it's just like, wow. Can I jump off the side of this maybe? It's like Assassin's Creed. If you guys remember in Assassin's Creed 1, you weren't able to, what's the word? Get down hills. I think the horse takes a lot of damage if you fall off something. But here we are. Talk to the man.
Howdy. Excuse me, friend. Mind if I rest up at your camp a spell?
It'd be my pleasure. Man needs a break from this desiccated land.
Thank you, mister. Say, what's that stick you got there?
Oh, y'all ain't never seen a dowsing rod before, mister? Never seen a man summon the water up from the bare earth? Mr.
Marston.
Ah.
No,
Very weird the way people interacted with each other then when you think about it. I just thought I'd like take a minute to like, not appreciate, but just look and think like, I guess if this is an accurate depiction of the West, what the West used to be like, or similar to, or however you would put it, like, it's pretty friendly. I mean, I guess it was obviously the Wild West, like I said, animals in the film and in the video game and whatnot. You know, everything was crazy. I'm not sure that little rabbit thing with antlers, I'm not even sure if that's a real animal, but this game's realistic to an extent, isn't it? Except for the fact that you can't swim, from what I remember. I think you would drown as soon as you hit water, which sucks, but hopefully Red Dead, not Revolver, Redemption 2 will include swimming. Let's keep our fingers crossed. It can include swimming because, like I said, Rockstar had a No Country for Old Men reference in GTA 5. You can find it. It's like the top left of the map, this little path. You get $25,000, you pick it up, and then as soon as you head out, these guys on dirt bikes chase you down and they fuck you up if you don't kill them. And if you kill them, you keep the money, da-da-da, and that's it. It's a fun little Easter egg. Oh my god. Wow, I had the chat covered the whole time. Anyway. TTT bucket left. I wonder why he went ah ha 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 ha.
Let's go.
What was I even sent off to do again? Like, is there, could I see this map? What's this purple? Water and honesty, okay. I forgot the map is vast. If that's the best way to put it. It's vast. Because I'm not really sure where this takes place. I guess I could just assume Texas. God knows. But no, by the way, you cannot see my quote-unquote bald. I'm not bald. That was a joke. But continuing on, he sends Carla Jean out and he makes a run for the border because he knows this man is out to get him. He knows he's being chased, but just like us, we're not sure who this man is. We know just as much about this man as Josh Brolin, Llewellyn Moss begins to know throughout the film. Yeah. Just helping people out in the Wild West. Anyway, back on my horse. Can't help out anyone else. They're fucked if they get attacked by wolves. But. He makes a run for the Mexican border himself. And he is all sorts of fucked up. And we follow Anton Chigurh throughout the film. We follow Llewellyn Moss. And the almost seemingly never-ending chase. And, you know... Carla Jean goes with her mom and goes off and finally tries to find a place to settle in, or they try to, you know, like I said, as Llewellyn wanted them to do, he wanted them to fuck off somewhere. He wanted them to go away, essentially, to go be safe, because that's what he wanted. He knew he got himself into deep shit, and he owned up to it like a man, and he decided, I have to protect whom I love. and send them out somewhere away from here, nice and safe. And you know, you respect him for that. You know, you honor him for that, and it's nice to see that in a movie. You don't really like. I guess you don't see that much. Or you see it in some movies. I don't know how to put it, but you guys understand what I'm talking about. Funny, in GTA 5, if you were to jump up on something like that, it would probably take you like half a second to actually like climb up it compared to the 10 extra seconds that it felt like just then. But moving on. Take that guy, find him wherever I can, kill him out there. So as we look for this guy, whoa, I'm gonna just get caught up in this really quick. Bad deeds.
Don't mention it, miss.
What? 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 What did I do wrong? Anyway. Okay. Well, Shiger now learns this money is... He learns that this dirty money is on its way out. Like, he's got to act quick if he wants to get him, so... Shiger, played by Javier Bardem again, he is out to get Llewellyn Moss, and he doesn't, you know, because he has, as I mentioned, the tracker, because he takes 2 men down there, and he says, you know, here's where the shootout happened, here it is, and then he offs 2 guys that we see down there. No remorse, no nothing. He says, oh, could I see that gun? I guess he was going to buy guns down there from them or something, and just bam, bam, takes out 2 guys, that's it. I know that was an amazing gun sound effect, but he takes them out, and you think, all right, well, shit, there's 2 other people he just off, so he must have killed 1, 2, 3, 4 people throughout the movie. This guy is just on a Jesus Christ, a never-ending rampage. He's just on a rampage. They really slow down time in this game. They really do slow down time. Wow.
Can I have this?
Okay, so I guess you can loot everyone's body for like... So you could rob people, basically. So that's what, I guess, how you end up making money in this game. You kill people and you steal from them and whatnot. Sounds good with me. And moving on, after that he finds the tracker. And there's the receiving end of the tracker, which tracks it, and the whole tracking end of the tracker. Obviously, you know, that's how a tracker works. If there's something that you could tell if you're getting close or not, and that's really the way it was. And oh, hold on. Getting a call from my mother, but this is a stream, so who cares, right? Hello? What's up? Nothing. I'm just sitting. Alright. Probably will in a little bit. No, I'm on Xbox. Yeah. Alright, love you. I'll see you. Stop listening.
Don't think you'll be wanting this no more,
Well,
friend.
if the stream just returned to where I just was, fuck me, because for some reason my console name, because I can't say it, because it's going to think I'm giving it a command, decided to send me to Bing, as if I was searching something, because that's what I just said, and I guess there's more people coming up the road right now, because they, oh fuck, there's even more. Like that's, I don't know, I'm sorry, that's really fun. That whole, Deadeye thing, for example, like when you take everyone out, you really like take everyone out, I guess. Anyway, sorry, I was enjoying that a bit too much. But my mom called me, sorry about that too, guys. I didn't really expect a call, but it's okay. She was heading to get groceries and do mom things and whatnot. But this really is the Wild West, I guess, being attacked by a... Again, wow, so if you're out here, you really randomly get... You randomly get gunned down by these guys, like... Like, I'm trying to explain this, like, trying to explain this movie in depth, and all I'm getting is, like, gunned down by cowboys before I could even move. I better get the fuck out of here and get to a doctor soon, because, like, do I even have health on me or anything? Probably not, but might as well loot them for what they have, then head out as soon as I can, because I'm not dealing with any of that. So, let's get on our horse. Where's the nearest doctors? And yeah. Okay. Store, doctor's office. That's where we gotta go. And then I'll figure the rest of that out in the meantime. I'll get my my money and my bounty and whatnot for killing whoever Texas Roadhouse bitch ass dude back there that I ended not too long ago. I ended his very short-lived evil life a few seconds ago. Take some wildflowers in the meantime, because apparently it's nice to take herbs and animal skins and whatnot throughout the game. And I'm pretty sure, do you regen health? Over time? I guess so. I guess I could tell in a second once I'm in town, because town is a little bit safer than being out in the middle of nowhere. But so far we spent an hour bouncing from Spider-Man to Spider-Man Homecoming to the Spider-Man Raimi movies to No Country for Old Men, then back to the movie Locke, then the fact that Locke had a bit of a soundtrack, but you see where I'm coming from. And, you know, the movie's like, it's a chase, it's revenge, it's the drugs, it's the money, it's what Anton Chigurh wants that he has. It's all of these things mixed in, tied in with the law, between, I don't know, it's just so much thrown into it, and that's what makes it so good. Can't tell if there's like a shootout. I guess those are bad guys, but I can't really care about that, unfortunately, right now. As rude as that sounds, I'm not like... I'm not here for this. I'm here to discuss No Country for Old Men. I'm not here to, So is this my room now in this town? Ew, what is this? I see, so this will let me in the high stakes poker game. I don't even know how to play poker, so if this game can give me a quick rundown before anything, but I guess that's what... So, with the gentleman's attire, we also acquire an extremely patchy mustache. It's almost as if our scars disappeared. Oh. Okay, so I guess you do regen health, and horse pills, I guess moonshine and... I don't know what warhorse is. I'm pretty sure there's some like deadly, not even normal horse. I'm gonna see if it charges in near me. Trying to call for my horse. So is this the warhorse, I'm assuming? Okay, so I own a horse of that type, and then I could make the campsite. Okay, cool. So like if I ever need to make camp somewhere, I can do that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna Google this so I can give a breakdown, because I told myself I wasn't gonna do it, but I need to look up vital points of this movie because it's been a week or two before I saw it. But I feel like it's important. What plot points in No Country? Because if I can name these or talk about them, I can discuss it compared to trying to remember each and every scene. Here we go. Oh my god, I can give a breakdown of the movie. So it says inciting event. I'm just going to read the first part. So this shootout area, I already explained. Dead bodies everywhere. The drug deal went bad. You know, $2 million, like I said. He finds the guy dead with $2 million. And you're thinking, holy shit. You know, we move on. He says, you know, he brushes the main conflict. You know, there's no obstacles in his way, but he takes the money. Like I said, him taking the money is the trigger. The trigger in this film is the part that kicks the action off. This is what gets him finding that money and putting it away is basically what sets the entire film into motion. The $2 million is the kicker. It's the part that makes you think, holy shit, here we go. Like, here we fucking go. Like, that's where it goes. You know, they talk about how he loses his pickup truck. I'm just going to consider these my notes. It's just this little article online that talks about different parts. And, you know, it's a very well put together movie. Like, there's no other way about it. Yeah. Like I said, he sends his wife and his mother-in-law off. He sends his wife to her mother. And this is where the adventure part of the film breaks off. And like I said, there's a homing beacon that Sugar uses. And he's tracking Lou and Ellen to the hotel. And the whole hotel scene, I'm not even gonna read that because I want to give you guys my own take on the hotel scene. The hotel scene is amazing. It's just so, it's so like, not off-putting, but he buys 2 hotel rooms, and he buys one to stay there at first, and then he buys a second one, and she says, are you sure you want another hotel room? And he says yes, because one, why should he give a shit, because he has all this money, and you know, he's roaming about, and he has all this money, and he goes to the hotel, and he buys a second room, and you're thinking, why the fuck is this guy buying a second room? And there's a ventilation shaft that he pushes in one end of the room with a rod. So when it's tracked, he tracks it to one room. And then on the other room that he's in, you know, he thinks it's right in that room. So when Shiger breaks into that room and he hears it through the wall, he takes it through the other room and begins to leave through the hotel. And it says here, Anton Chigurh, Javier Bardem's character, kills several Mexicans. You know, he was thinking the ones that they were the ones that took the money. And like I said, he has no regard for human life, so he doesn't really give a shit about who he kills and whatnot. And Llewellyn is able to take the money and escape, as I mentioned. He had tent poles set up because this is just this huge climactic point of the movie. Not really, it's not the high point, but it's a point where you're thinking, you know, this is his first near miss. And if he's coming across near misses this early in the film, something's not right. Like, something's not right. This guy is getting too close for comfort. He's getting too close. Like, between the tracker beacon and everything, he's gaining on him. He's gaining on him. Like, before he even has a chance. Before he even has a chance to blink. And like they said, this both is an emphasis of the antagonist's presence and a presentation of the new clues about the conflict, since this is the first time Llewellyn has personally encountered those in pursuit of him. So this is where Llewellyn Moss begins to learn, okay, I'm fucked, I'm being chased, I have $2 million, and I need to go. I need to get out of here. He has weapons on him. He's not as worried, of course, but he sets up his shotgun. It's this big sawed off. You know, he saws off the end of it, and he moves on. This is the first, as it was titled, the pinch point of the film, the beginning pinch point of the film. This is where it gets down to the nitty gritty, and it gets your blood pumping, because you're like, why is our quote unquote hero, our main character, Llewellyn Moss, this close? Like, how is he gaining on him? It doesn't feel like a normal thing. You think the pinch point would be towards the end of the film, you know, a duel, just like any other Western movie would have. There would be, you know, high noon. They would meet somewhere. They would have a battle. But this isn't your regular Western film, and that's what there is basically to appreciate about No Country for Old Men, because it's not, like I said, I don't know how many times I could say it, it's not your regular Western film. Because coming across this is like, wow, like it's not what you expect. There's many twists, there's many turns, there's many parts that have you sitting there and you think, and the lack of music allows you to take these moments in and just breathe and almost feel or experience what the characters are feeling. You see the grief, you see the mourning on their face, you see the fear in their face, like almost, as I said, evil personified, fear personified in some of their faces, because even the toughest of the tough in this film still know when something is going wrong. They still know when something's not right, when something's off-putting, and that's what worries you, when even the strongest or the toughest characters in the film worry. And that's what makes them feel so vulnerable and so mortal compared to this immortal being, Anton Chigurh, this unstoppable force. As like I said, all of our characters try to become this immovable object or this obstacles in his path that he just mows down. He's a madman. He's unstoppable. And you learn that more and more throughout the film, down to each little obstacle or each part that Anton Chigurh comes across. Each person that he comes across, he just takes care of. And before I go any further, I'd rather not get into that. I wanted to get into the coin toss scene, and this coin toss scene is very, very important, because he says a year, and he mentions how the coin, if it's the 1980s, you guys can do the math. I'm tired, or I'm not in the mood, or I'm playing a game at the same time, even though I'm not really doing anything. I'm really just running around in Red Dead climbing buildings. But it brings to mind, oh man, like, oh boy, like wow, like is this it? Like, is this it? But I'm not even really saying anything. That's how, like, out of groove you could say I am. But I guess if you stayed this far, you stayed for more so this discussion more so than the gameplay. So I'm going to take a good minute, take a break from the game, because for some reason my brain can't do both at the same time. Can't, please refrain from judging me for that and whatnot, but he comes to a store, and he comes to a place, and he has a quarter, and Shiger is holding the quarter, and he's talking to the guy at the store, and he says, you know, he wants to buy something off of him. I think he wants to buy peanuts, and he buys peanuts off of him, and he just wants food, you know, he just wants to eat, and this is still very early on in the film, and you fear for this guy at the store, because at the whole time in the back of your head, you think, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him, this poor guy at a store is killed, and nobody is gonna have any clue of where he is, and he says, oh, you live back there? He says, what time do you go to bed? Like, what time, you know, he's asking him all these questions. And he says, you see this quarter? This quarter traveled 33 years, for example. I don't even know. 33 years to get here. He says some year. Or 17, you know, God knows. And you're thinking, okay, so he had this quarter in his pocket for a long time. He said, this is your lucky quarter. And the reason why he says it's his lucky quarter is because he makes him pick heads or tails. And he says, well, what am I betting for? He says, just pick a side, and he just wants him to pick a side because it's obvious what he's bartering for with this man who's basically, you know, passive-aggressively already threatened his life. Anton Chigurh has already threatened the store owner's life, you know, very, very passive-aggressively. You don't pick up on it at first, but you start to realize he's asking these questions, and this man who's came across 4 to 6 people already and just murdered them with no remorse, no thoughts whatsoever, you know this guy is fucking in for it. So it makes you think like, alright, well, if you know, all those guys were in for it, this guy who owns the store is just as fucked. But that's not the case here. He flips the coin after he finally gets the man to bet, and he says, congratulations, this is your lucky day. And, you know, the guy's sitting there thinking, like, you know, why the fuck am I so lucky? He's thinking, why am I so lucky? But you could still see the sense of relief because he knows what he was bartering the whole time. He just didn't want to come to terms with it. And he gives him the quarter and he says, don't put it in your pocket. Don't put it in your pocket. That's your lucky quarter. And he's so strong, and it's so vital that that's his lucky quarter because Chigurh wants him to know that that's his lucky quarter because that is the rules. That is what Chigurh lives by. That's his sense of rules. If anyone has rules in the movie, if anyone has rules, Llewellyn's rules is he's a family man. He's, you know, honorable to his wife. He loves her. And Chigurh's rules doesn't have many rules other than the coin. He lives by the coin, and that's really all it is. If you know, bet on heads and you don't win, you're dead. If, you know, he believes, I guess he believes that whatever he does, the ends do or do not justify the means. I'm not really sure how to put it, but this guy, he has no care, I guess you can say. You wouldn't really consider them rules, but you could consider them some code, a sort of code that he lives by. You see the bullet almost travel. But the guy who essentially wins his life and is able to walk away, or Chigurh is, you know, walks away himself out of the store, and the guy is still very shaken up and worried because he's like, oh, you live out back and all these, you know, weird things. You know, the guy's a little, he's a little thinking, well, shit, you know, this guy knows where I live, but at the same time, I guess this guy got away. All right, fine, I'll get him next time. He, you know, breaking it down even further, the lucky coin is basically like, I'm leaving you with your life and this coin. I want you to remember who I am and that I let you live. Like you didn't live today just because it's not right for me to kill you. I let you live. I could have killed you. I had the power to kill you, and I want you to know that and remember that. And he walks away, and he leaves him thinking, that's it. Like, you know, he leaves him thinking like, I could have died. I could have died, And this is what I have to remember. This is what I have to remember the day I lived. And, you know, obviously a month or two may pass and he may brush it off and think, whatever, because that's obviously probably, chances are, that's the last time he's going to see. That's the last time the store owner was going to see Anton Chigurh. But that's not the case for other characters. He comes up in their lives multiple times. But I'm from what I know, from what I would like to consider him, I retract my statement about the multiple times, because he doesn't really visit people multiple times. He really comes to them once. He comes to them all once, and then decides, you live or you die now. There's no, like, I'm gonna come back and decide if you're dead. Like, he will see them once, and that will be it. Like, he will visit them once, similar to death. That's why I believe he's death. He's evil. He's evil personified. So he's a deep, dark character, and he's more than you would expect him to be when you first see him. He's evil, but not as evil as you first think. The act of visiting someone once and deciding there and then if they're gonna live or die. Similar to the moment, maybe a moment of in our lives where, you know, there could be a chance, a 50-50 chance in our lives that we can live or die. And like I said, him being death personified, that's us seeing these people given that choice or that shot or that moment where you could have lived, you could have died. And that's my breakdown very quickly of Anton Chigurh before I move on to the next act of the film, the second pinch point. It's just very... It's just... I don't know, it's a lot to talk about, this movie. That's why I thought I might as well give it a good 2-hour discussion. I got another half hour, I'll break it down very quickly. Because I thought, why not? Like, you know, if you really want to see me speak about this movie, it's probably not enjoyable because I don't really do this often, and I don't really have, I guess, anything really better to do while I wait for Spider-Man to come in the mail. Maybe go for a walk and whatnot later, but that's irrelevant. Nobody really cares about what I do. It's more so a matter of, hey, play Red Dead Redemption and talk about a badass Western movie, anti-Western movie. Whatever you'd love to consider it, compared to war and anti-war, Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, Apocalypse Now. That's what I'm saying. But I also have a new channel. If this is on that channel, my apologies for mentioning it as if I posted this to another channel. But if you guys have ever heard of, if you guys have seen my other channel, Driving On, I think I've gave a warning or a little, like, hint or a signification or a little signal saying, hey, I have a new channel. But moving on to the second pinch point of the film, I thought I'd read this so I can break it down, like, each part in depth. I could obviously mention it, but, you know, we have our midpoint, you know, the homing beacon, as I mentioned, in the hotel that he finds as he escapes from the hotel, and Chigurh is tracking him. They have a shootout through the closed door, and then out on the street, and they're both wounded before Llewellyn, again, escapes. Okay. So that's the second hotel that I just mentioned. He finds the homing beacon in the money. He didn't know about it before, but he knew that he was being followed, so he thought if he left the money in one room... It's just this... There's like 2 hotels, a hospital, but very quickly before I move any further, you know, the homing beacon at the first hotel... the air ducts, he moves it to another room. He manages to pull the money through the air ducts in one room into the second room that he bought. He kills a bunch of Mexicans in another part of the hotel thinking they have the money, which is also a very, very scary part of the movie because he kicks down the door and shoots this one guy, and this guy's arm gets blown and it rips and it's like hanging, and it's just hanging on by a tendon, and then he goes into the bathroom. And the other guy says, you know, he says, where's the money? And he pulls the shower curtain over him and has the gun through the side of the shower curtain. and shoots him, and you could see the blood, just, you could hear it hit the shower curtain. It's just, it's very like raw, the deaths in the film. It's not very, nobody really gets nobody gets an easy death when they encounter Anton Chigurh. Like this before my throat turns to dust. As the article says, it's an emphasis on the antagonist's presence and a presentation of new clues about the conflict. And as I said, this is the first time he personally comes across Chigurh, so this large emphasis on his presence, like, holy shit, this is how close they got, but at the same time they were so far apart. But Llewellyn moves on to another hotel because he's like, I'm gonna have to bounce from hotel to hotel, and as I said, he picks up the money and he opens one of the, some of the money was cut out and there was a tracker left inside, and he wants him to find him, and he wants to have this shootout. And he sits on the bed with his sawed-off shotgun, and he waits. And this is what feels like... This is comparable to almost eternities. Eternities we feel as if we're waiting, with Llewellyn Moss on the bed, and Anton Chigurh finally approaching the door in the hotel. And he gets up the hotel, and he finally gets to him, and he has the tracker laying on the side of the bed, and he's watching it beep. And then Chigurh is watching his beep. And you see from both sides, and these guys, one of them wants the money, and the other one, he's not going to let him have it. He's not, and because he's stubborn. He's a stubborn cowboy. He's stubborn, but at the same time, he knows what's his, and he's going to own up to it, even if he has to kill the guy, because in the 80s, it's not where, like, police, help, because he can't call the police for this situation because this is dirty money. So he takes matters up into his own hands, and as I said, escapes the first hotel, moves on to the second hotel with the money, tracker on near the lamp, and his sawed-off shotgun. And he sits on the bed, and we see them inch closer to each other, and he steps down the hall. And earlier, another big prop is Chigurh's boots, and Chigurh takes very, very good care of his boots in the film. He even takes them off so he doesn't get blood on his boots when he fights the other guys. And I think that's important because he takes them off, one, to minimize sound, and two, so he wouldn't get them dirty. He doesn't want to, he has nice boots, he doesn't want to ruin them. It's silly because you would think a man who cares so little tends to care so much about just one thing. And, we move on. One of them's wounded. Both of them walk away, don't walk away in the best shape. Chigurh escapes behind a truck and fucks off somewhere else, while Llewellyn is injured because he jumps out of a second-story window and is thinking, like, holy shit, like, I'm getting chased. I just got shot at. I just got away from this hotel. And he falls out of the second-story window. You hear a crack, and this dude's leg is, like, fucked. His leg is, like, fuckarooed. You're looking at his leg, and you think it snaps, and he makes a run for it, as I said. Behind the car, they have a shootout in the street, and it says there isn't a shift from reaction to act stakes in the action for both characters. It's not really like, whoa, bam, whoa, bam. It's simultaneous. The action is simultaneous, the way they bounce off of each other. That is why this movie does and is considered a Western and does tend to feel like one so much, because there's no fear in either of them. Both are out there to viciously attack each other or go after each other. And they don't meet each other face to face in that second hotel scene before the shootout in the street. It's more so of a, they don't even meet each other face to face in the street. They just see each other from across the street and fire at each other. I don't even think they saw each other, really. They just shot at each other. They're like, he hurt me, I hurt you. And we move on. And we just moved on to about an hour and 40 minutes for the stream. It's quite a long stream. Probably around 3, like I said, I'm going to end it. I just thought I might as well wrap up the film, wrap up my analysis on certain things. How I felt overall about the film. I could honestly give this film a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. Like a high 9, a very high 9, like a 9 point if we're going to go into points. I guess a 9.5. I guess the 0.5 is the sense of emptiness that I felt at the end of the film, but which would only really rise it to the movie to a 10 because of how perfect and just wrapped up everything felt in the end. Like everything, there was nothing like really wrong with it or wrong for what happened, which I'm going to explain shortly. I'm going to explain the part that I was disappointed in and why I was annoyed and so much, and how unknown of a character this is to everyone else, and to the sheriff, Tommy Lee Jones, how he's scary. He's scary, but we're gonna get to him. And we move on to the Mexican hospital. He's confronted by a much more cordial hitman. He's a little bit more laid back. Carson Wells invites Llewellyn to give him the money. And he says Sugar is going to kill Llewellyn and his wife because this guy's sent out by God knows who. Carson Wells is played by Woody Harrelson. And you're thinking, all right, well, this, he's going to kill him in his hospital bed because he's sitting down and he wakes up and he's like, who the fuck are you? But it's like he's left alive for a reason because Llewellyn is obviously a tool in this movie to further the plot. He's almost the tool to carry the money and further the plot and further the bloodbath and the trail of blood that Anton Sugar leaves behind. And it's almost like, you question who's really the villain in the movie. Like, is it Llewellyn? Is Llewellyn the villain in the movie? Is Sugar just our anti-hero who's out there to just get the money and call it a day and just say, like, my bloodbath will end when I get this money. My trail of blood, my trail of bodies that I will leave behind will end if I get this money. And Llewellyn's being stubborn. And if he just gave him the money, maybe the massacre and the shootouts and the killings and the deaths would end if he gives him the money. Or is Llewellyn doing the right thing and he just wants to make an honest living? I mean, not necessarily honest taking a dead man's money, nor is it honest selling drugs, so maybe it did fall into better hands. They would live it up for a while with $2 million, him and his wife. But like I said, he sent her off with a decent majority of the money, a couple of $1,000s, which isn't much compared to the $2 million, roughly $2 million, maybe, say, $1.9 million that he's carrying because some of it was cut, but that's besides the point. And Carson is threatens Llewellyn, and he tells him, your wife, Carla Jean, and you're both fucking dead if you don't give this money up to me, and I will figure things out with Sugar and everything. So now we have Llewellyn has the money, and we have Sugar who's after the money just nonstop, and we have Carson who also now wants the money, and it makes you think, this guy, he doesn't have that grit, he doesn't have that carelessness. He can kill people, he's capable of it. He doesn't really show it, but he is in the way he carries himself and in his mannerisms. But he's also not as smart as he makes himself out to be. He warns him that, like I said, 7th time, Sugar will kill Llewellyn and his wife, Carla Jean. Sugar ends up killing Carson. He kills him because he knows he's another person after the money, and he's useless to him. He kills him in the other hotel, the hotel across the street from the hospital. As I remember, there was a hotel across the street from the hospital, and he calls him up there and he says, "If you just give me the money, I will leave you alone." And he has this deep, brooding voice, and it's scary. It's scary, the character that he plays. Like I said, evil personified, evil exemplified. You don't come across someone so evil in a film unless you're talking about Hannibal or this or that, but that's besides the point. Sugar then kills Carson, then warns Llewellyn to escape the hospital and return to the States for his wife. He says, you better go back to your wife, take care of her, protect her, because he wants them both in one spot, because he knows when he's with his wife, he's vulnerable compared to being on his own. And the third plot point, which is awful, is I could go into that deeper because he tells him very quickly before I get to the third plot point. I just thought I'd read this. I know it sounds cheap or cheesy that I'm going off of an article or different plot points to read this, but I realize if I can read it and I can go into depth about it, it's not really like I'm taking anything from anyone. And it's something that I just thought I'd discuss with you guys while I have some deep diddly banjos in the background and cactuses and trees and birds and whatnot, and hopefully that can go hand in hand very well with what I'm discussing. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could title this video, I could figure out the title at the end, but being that this is a live stream, you know, you guys aren't going to go into an hour and a half long video, an hour and 40-minute video thinking, this guy's going to talk from beginning to end exactly about the movie. No, I am going to, you know, talk to my mom on the phone. I'm going to drink water throughout it. I'm going to talk to you guys because this is also a live stream. On top of that, you guys have to take into consideration, but besides the point. You know, he tells him, if you give me the money, your wife can be safe. But similar to what the driver is told over the phone in Drive 2011 with Ryan Gosling, he can't guarantee Llewellyn's safety. He can guarantee his wife's safety. Yeah, you know, maybe I'll let everything, you know, be all right. But mind you, this money is still at the border, thrown over the bridge under it. And Carson knew where the money was, or Llewellyn knew where the money was, but he didn't want to tell Carson. Carson knew where the money was, but before Carson could really get to it, he's murdered by Shigar. Llewellyn sets out, and he's at a hotel and he's waiting. And he's tempted. He's tempted in that scene. He has the money, and this lady at a pool says, "Oh, you want some beers? I have them in my room." Da da da. And you know he's an honorable man, but he fucks up, and he goes with the woman, and this is Llewellyn's mistake. This is where he goes from an honorable man. You begin to see the rise and fall when he gets the money, when he almost kills Shigar and he has to fight, and it goes all the way down to this little nitty-gritty part, which it breaks my heart because this is the disappointing scene, because we see Shigar, we see Llewellyn, and we see him. And he does his wife wrong, and he takes the beers and he goes with the woman inside her hotel, and very shortly we follow Sheriff Bell all the way down to the hotel where he was, and you know you follow the scene with the cop cars, and you finally get to the doorway, and you don't see his face. You don't see his face, but it's only until after watching the movie that I knew that was Llewellyn. And there was another part too that that kind of hints at it, but Llewellyn dies. Llewellyn, our cowboy, our hero, our man who's going to save this film, Josh Brolin, is killed by Mexican drug runners before his wife, Shigar, or Sheriff Bell from his hometown can reach. Before all of them can reach him. Before any of them can get to him, before any of them can save him, the almost least important characters in the film, the ones that you would think would be of little to no threat to him, kill him before, as I said, Shigar, his wife, or Sheriff Bell, anyone from his hometown can reach him, or save him, or help him out, or lend him a helping hand, because they knew he was on the run, because this picked up a lot of heat throughout the film. There's a lot of shootouts. There was a lot of, it was almost like a giant chase. It was a giant, like a runaway train almost. And this is where it stops. For Llewellyn, at least. And it's sad, like I said, because he fucked up. He made his mistake. He was unfaithful to his wife, and he was killed in the hotel. And there's another scene where we follow Sheriff Bell, and he's in an autopsy room, and he takes his hat off, and he gives like a brief moment to breathe and think, all right, you know, unfortunately this guy was out to hold the money and keep it out of harm's way, or, you know, evil hands, and that's where it was. And it talks about how the movie follows a classic narrative up to this point. Here it is, parts, you know, they say it departs by abruptly killing the protagonist, And that's what was so disappointing to me. Because I think they're going to have this big shootout, but for some reason something was telling me Llewellyn was going to die too. His carelessness, it wasn't the correct form of carelessness that, as Shiger says, you living by these rules, he says to Carson before he kills him in the hotel. He says, this rule, if you living by this rule got you this far, what was the point of the rule in the first place? Like, what sense did the rule have, or what purpose did the rules serve? Did his set of rules serve to Carson that led him up to this point? Like, look at where it got him. It got him killed because he was basically telling him, I'm going to kill you. And now you living up to this point. Where did those rules get you? He almost gives him a lesson, a brief lesson, or something like some departing words before the phone rings for maybe 4 or 5 rings, and we know it's Llewellyn. And we know, it's Llewellyn. And he's calling Carson, and Carson was going to warn him. He's in the building next door, but he didn't want to give him those extra few seconds, and Sugar fires into him through the chair with the silent shotgun right from his lap. And that's another amazing weapon throughout the film. He has this shotgun with this giant paper towel-sized silencer on the front end of it, it makes this, and it's just such a small noise, but that's almost how death itself moves in silence. It's not, we can't see it, we can't hear it, and I think that's what they were really trying to convey, the Coen brothers. They were trying to convey that Shiger is death personified. He is evil personified, and he is out, and whether it's greed, whether it's lust, the Mexican drug cartels took care of him too, but I would almost say they go hand in hand with Shiger because they were out to get the money. Whether it's lust or greed, he got the butt end of it. He got the butt end of it, the shitty end, the short end of the stick. Either way, because of what he did, and that's really what it is. Like, everybody.
Looking for some company, friend?
Every action has its consequence, I guess. But like it says, it deviates from the classic structure, in normal films, to do it shakes up the audience, the article is saying. And it really did. It shook me up. And it bothers me that I wasn't able to see this in theaters, because if I did, it would have me sit back and think, wow, this is definitely a very well strung together film. And it wasn't like your normal movie. It wasn't... How often is our hero killed in the movie? I know if I wanted to, I could probably throw in a slideshow of 17 movies, 300 million movies, where our protagonist is abruptly murdered throughout the movie, or killed in the ending, or killed in an act of heroism, or making the ultimate sacrifice, or, Terminator 2, I'm pretty sure, when he's lowered into the lava. Spoilers, but that's an old movie, and everybody sees that scene. The little thumbs up as he goes down into the lava. He does it for the right cause. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure he comes back in other films. He's in Genesis and Terminator 3 and Salvation, but I mean, that's Christian Bale, and that was shitty, apparently. But that's besides the point. James Cameron. They say it illustrates senseless violence, and that we see that a lot throughout the film, whether it's the cattle prod, whether it's the hotel shootout, whether it's the car being blown up outside of the pharmacy so he can clean his wound on his leg. When Sugar blows up the car outside of the pharmacy to create a sense of chaos, so everyone's running like batshit crazy all around as he just casually walks to the back and takes some painkillers, takes some stuff, washes his boots, soaks his legs, and relaxes as he cleans his cut and injects himself in the leg with some kind of, God knows, like antibiotic so it doesn't get infected and whatnot. They say it's a purposeful effect to do that, and the author has to be aware of the general uneasiness and lack of resonance it inevitably creates in the audience. And it does. It leaves you feeling very uneasy, because it's like, well, fuck, like, what now? Because you sit back and I'm watching this movie, and you really do think, what now? Because that's what leaves you thinking, what now? When you lose the movie loses all sense of direction when the main character is removed from the film, When Llewellyn Moss is killed by the Mexican drug runners, the movie loses all sense of direction. I mean, we see Sugar continue to go after the money. Carson is still dead. The two businessmen up in the building that he kills, who sent Carson out, are dead. I'm pretty sure one of them lives, but it's like hinted at that he's killed. You assume that he's dead because if Sugar kills that many people this far, what's going to stop him from killing that one extra guy? But who knows? He did have mercy on some people, but alas, not many others. Don't know why I said alas, but the climax is... The only remaining question is what will happen to Sugar. And that's true, because you think Sheriff Bell is, you know, moseying on over, and there's a scene after Llewellyn's death, before I get into the climax. We learn about that. And we learn that Sheriff Bell decides to go back. He returns to the crime scene, and we see Sugar in the hotel. We see him in the back room, and he has that scary fucking look on his face, and that terrifying face, and he's breathing so heavy, and he knows he's he's there, and Sheriff Bell, he falls to the wall, sees the lock. He sees the lock removed, just like at every other crime scene. He sees the lock removed from the door. And we assume that it's either when Sugar went to check the room earlier for the money, if the money was left in there, or if he went back to the crime scene, which also mixes us up a little bit and makes us think that Sugar was the one who killed him, but being that Sugar is by himself most of the time and the drug runners were leaving the hotel, that's out of the question. Sugar checked it later on, and that's the little hint or the idea that it left Sheriff Bell thinking, like, now it's time to face the demons, face the heat, this is the moment where I face the monster who we haven't come face to face with throughout the whole film. And this was courageous of Sheriff Bell to do. You have to commemorate him for this in the film. You have to applaud him for this, because he's walking into a room where he knows he's going to die. He knows he's going to die. And when he opens the door to that room, he busts it open, and he stands there with his gun. And you think, when is Sugar going to pop out? And you wait. And you wait for him to turn the corner and just blow Sheriff Bell away. But it doesn't happen. And he checks the room, and he walks back. And that only leaves two things up in the air. It leaves it up in the air to think two things. There's a theory that Sugar is Sheriff Bell's son, because there's a scene when Sugar sits down in a trailer, drinks milk, and watches TV. And then there's a scene where Sheriff Bell sits down, drinks the same milk, but his reflection is seen on the TV. He has a much larger presence in the scene than Sugar, because he's the law. He's bigger than him. He's above him. And you would think that, like, because he's a man of, he has moral codes, he does the right thing, he follows the rules, and that's his set of rules, and Sugar has his own rules that he lives by, not necessarily, like, deemed appropriate by most of the people throughout the movie, because that involves killing people with not much regard for human life, and most people were thinking, what the fuck is this guy's problem? And then, for example, the sheriff is, you're bad, you're gonna go to jail. You're good, you're gonna get left alone. It would still be up to Sugar to decide if you were to die or not, which is what makes these characters so different, but yet so similar when it comes down to their set of rules. They both follow rules, which makes them very, 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 very similar. But that's me explaining that theory is just to go back to the hotel where we think Sugar is hiding, and that's the only reason why I would assume that he didn't kill him. But many other people say Sugar was never in the room, and that's just that is the fear, or the sense of death, or the looming sense of death, like, personified or left, that looming feeling in the room that was created by Sheriff Bell in his mind, thinking, I'm gonna fucking die, I'm gonna die if I walk into this room. And it almost built or created the sense that Sugar was there so much that we physically see him there. A lot of people say it's not real, he's not really there in the hotel room, leaning up against the wall, hiding. And some people, because, you know, I mean, it would make sense to me that he was waiting for Sheriff Bell to come in and get him. And, you know, maybe he doesn't even know if Llewellyn was dead. There's so many things up in the air in this film because of how simplistic it is, or how simple it can be, or how straightforward it could be, yet at the same time, it leaves so many things open for question and so many things up in the air. But, like I said, what will happen to Shiger? The climax itself is relatively low-key. Low-key. I guess they put a dash there so it doesn't sound like low-key and not low. Anyway. With the final confrontation being that Shiger and Fate... I see. So, leading up to this, the climax, we see Shiger finally... You know, Llewellyn's dead. The sheriff goes there. He faces Shiger more than anyone else could and walks away from it. So the sheriff walks away a hero. Llewellyn kind of walks away a hero, but he dies in a shameful and embarrassing, a dishonorable way. And it makes us lose all sense of care for his character. And it makes us realize, like, how easy it is. I guess if you sit on your horse for long enough, loyalty of your mount. Alright? I guess if you hold on to the same horse for a while and whatnot. That must suck, so if your horse dies... Anyway, besides the point. Shiger now trails after Llewellyn's wife, Carla Jean. And Carla Jean is seated inside her home, and she knows Llewellyn's dead. And she knows he's dead, and she thinks, you know, he gets inside the house and he sits down with the gun. Or I don't even think he had a gun on him. He just had his coin. He just sat down. Because he knew he could just strangle her and whatnot. Because it was broad daylight. He's not going to carry a gun around, of course. He's not going to carry his humongous silenced shotgun. So he sits down. And this article doesn't explain in depth, but it just gives me a sense of what scene I'm going to talk about or what scene I'm going to discuss. But, I realized I wasn't looking at the camera this whole time, and I don't feel bad for it, because me looking at the TV is just enjoying the virtual landscape and whatnot, but I don't really care much for video game landscapes unless it's super realistic, and if you threw a VR headset on my head, I guess I would enjoy it, but it's besides the point. We learn that when Shiger approaches Llewellyn's wife, he gives her a choice. And just like he said to Llewellyn, I can't guarantee the safety of your wife. He never really says, I'm going to let her, she's good. He never says she's 100% good. He says, maybe, if you give me the money, maybe she'll be okay. But he gives her a choice. And he says, pick a side. You know, she knows he killed her husband. So she says, no, I'm not going to play your game. I'm not going to play into your stupid game of fate or your coin toss game. I'm not going to do it. And he gave his word. He gave his word to Llewellyn, as it says here, that he would kill her if he fails to kill him, from what I remember. If Llewellyn dies, there you go. If Llewellyn dies, he is going to kill his wife also. I guess to break even, or there's not really like much behind it. Just I guess most people when they see this, they think he killed him. He just killed him, and he's gonna kill her because he doesn't give a fuck, and he's just out to kill everyone. And just so he could, like there was more meaning behind Llewellyn dying. He wants to kill him entirely, kill every aspect of Llewellyn, kill his loved ones. Obviously, he wasn't gonna kill his mother-in-law, because she had cancer and she was safe elsewhere, from what I'm thinking, or she could have been upstairs in the house for all we really know. But it's a tiny house on this little block, and he walks out of the house after she declines the coin toss, and he's wiping his boots off, and that's what tells us she's dead. He cleaned his boots off because he either stomped her out, or killed her, or strangled her, or God knows. I'm assuming he must have stomped her out, because that's why he was cleaning the blood off his boot. But this is Shiger and Fate, or Sugar, as Sheriff Bell would call him, but I like saying Anton Shiger. Sugar, like, I don't know, there's many ways to pronounce it, but this is the scene where this is where the confrontation, the final confrontation between Sugar and Fate. Fate is another big thing in the film, between the coin being tossed, rules, law, the West, Fate, the way things go, just the way things are. You know, not everything's going to be hunky-dory. That's why it's a realistic movie, because to me, I do believe this is something that can really happen. Nobody has superpowers. Nobody has this. Nobody has that. As crazy as it sounds, as crazy as some of the stories you hear today, I believe something as crazy as No Country for Old Men could happen. He walks away with this look in his face, and this is explained in the analysis video too, but I thought I might as well carry it over to you guys. But Sugar is driving away with this look in his face, and it's so empty, because he realizes that's the only person who refused all the way up until their death, the coin toss. All the way up until their death, she fought it. She said, I'm not going to play your game, and he killed her. So he sat there and he thought, well, shit, like, you know, nobody's ever done that before. And all of a sudden, it made me jump personally. He was in his car driving, and he gets into as it says here, a random car accident. The car is in an intersection and just rams into him and knocks his car spiraling out of control off the road, and the other car just drives off. From what I know, it was just a hit and run. And the ambulance comes, and some kids walk up to him, and his bone's sticking out of his arm, and he's all shook up, and he climbs out of the car, and he hops over, and he's hobbling. He's still limping because his leg is still wounded from earlier in the film, and he was holding it, and he's so scary, because even at his lowest point, with a broken arm, a wounded leg, and blood splattered on his face, and you know, it's the end of the line. I think at that point, I'm not even sure if he even got the money. Now that I remember, I don't really think anyone really gets the money. I guess the Mexican drug runners in the end get the money, or God knows. It's not really important where the money goes. It's really the characters at this point, because like I said, the movie, it doesn't really, the story doesn't really have to necessarily go hand in hand with the characters. If the characters include a lot of depth, the story can go anywhere. Because a good character makes a good story. You're not going to watch a good story with a shitty character if the character's an asshole and says 3 words. Where's the story going to go? The movie Drive has a fairly simple story. And the character alone himself is great, as cringy as people may consider it, or as people would think they're autistic or something and whatnot. Mizzle 2 has started watching. Nice. Okay, so we have more people viewing. But, yeah, No Country for Old Men. Well-rounded characters, simple stories, and that's really all you need. And, you know, the car accident, he gives the kid... He has money on him, so I'm assuming, you know, he has some money on. He says, I'll give you $100 for your shirt. And the kid takes off his shirt, because these 2 kids say, are you alright, mister, or whatever? And he says, give me your shirt. And the kid, you know, he takes the kid's shirt, and he makes a sling, and he just begins to walk away. And he leaves. He leaves, and the climactic moment after that is, the whole purpose of the climactic moment in the story of this sort is really the very fact that it's anticlimactic. It's just, he leaves with not leaving anything, without killing any final people, without leaving any final words. He's wounded. He walks away punished for his atrocities only by a random accident. But that just goes to show, no matter how big or small his punishment or what he gets in the end in turn of what he did, it leads you to believe. So what now? It makes you think, what now? Where are we going now? And it says it's a fable, the story, but I'd like to believe it's real. It's silly. You know, the angel of death that we see go through the movie Sugar, Javier Bardem, walks away, only wounded by a car crash or a random car accident. But it leaves us thinking, you know, as I said, it leaves us again thinking, what now? At the beginning and at the end of that scene, what now? But let me run through this very quickly. It presents a simplistic conflict of primal desires, greed, and survival, as I mentioned before. So proud of myself. That ends abruptly and with a purposeful refusal to create satisfaction within the viewers at the third plot point. The final quarter of the story, the entire third act, is then an exploration of what it all meant or what it didn't mean, essentially a sort of moral of the story sequence, although crouched in obscure symbolism. This is big boy words here. It finally resolves with the final scene with the forlorn sheriff tells his wife the melancholy dream of... So, the film, obviously, like I said, the reason why I gave it a 9 is because of how disappointed it left me and how empty it left me. And that's what leaves this movie from being perfect. It's the sense of helplessness or emptiness that the movie is supposed to leave you with, but you will never ever be satisfied, even when understanding why it leaves you like this, why the film leaves you like this. Even if you fully understand it, or you're 100% fine with it in the end, you will never ever be satisfied with No Country for Old Men because of that, until you reach the scene with the sheriff, and the sheriff begins to tell his wife at the end of the movie he's done being a sheriff, he's put up his mantle, Sugar walks away, Llewellyn dies, Carla Jean dies, and it leaves you off at the sheriff discussing a dream with his wife of his father going on ahead of him to light the way in the darkness. And it makes you think, like, even in the darkest point of the movie, when almost everyone's dead and everyone's killed, there's still a glimpse of light, a glimpse of hope, a glimpse of innocence, or a sense of peace in the end, that in the end of the sheriff's long-lived life as the sheriff, that he can find. Even if his life feels as if he has no purpose without being the sheriff, there's still that bit of light in the dark. There's still that little spark, because with Sugar walking away with the money or with whatever atrocities he has caused, he knows he faced him in that hotel room. He knows he did as much as he could, and he's tired. He's tired, and he's haunted, obviously, by the wrongdoings of Sugar. He's haunted by the fact that he couldn't save everyone. But all in all, the film wraps up beautifully. I mean, as I said, there's no soundtrack, of course, until the credits and whatnot. But the sheriff wrapping that up with the dream, and the long dream about how he's lighting the way into the darkness as he's watching his father ride ahead on a horse, it gives you the sense of, like, maybe a little bit of nostalgia, almost like when somebody talks about a past memory in a film of their childhood with a family member. Excuse me. But yet at the same time, like I said, it gives you hope in the end of the movie. It gives you hope. It gives the movie meaning or sense. It makes you think, all right, well, there's that. Although stop listening. Sorry about that. My console again sent me back to the home screen. But that was only like a 2-second pause. I think it just, whatever it records, it just instantly doesn't count the paused scenes, so it just skips and then boom, goes right back to it when you upload it to YouTube, from what I remember. But if not, I'm sorry if there's any inconveniences or breaks in this, or inconsistencies is the word, throughout this review or analysis of No Country for Old Men. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys would ever want me to go into further explanation of any other movies, if you would like me to review any other further movies. But all in all, I'd like to give No Country for Old Men a solid 9, high 9 out of 10. Everyone's going to feel distasteful, unsatisfied. It's a very, like, it leaves you almost looking brooding, as I said before. It leaves you almost with the same look Sugar had on his face through most of the movie, because you have this sense of darkness, and it does leave you, it almost leaves you sad for a couple of days because of how, I don't know if movies have as much of an impact as it does to you guys as it would with me, but it really hits, not home, but it hits you somewhere. it makes it, you know, you think, because it feels so real, and it makes you think like, wow, that's a rough story. You know, some people bite the bullet, some people walk away, and it's not the people that you want to necessarily walk away. And it's almost a lesson in life, because there's a lot of people that will walk away from things in life who don't deserve to walk away from it. You would think you want Shiger to die in that car accident. You want him to get slammed and killed, but he only is wounded from it, which leads, like I said, people to believe that in the end, he's not human. And then other people believe he's Sheriff Bell's son. That's why Sheriff Bell basically let him go, because he knows his son's a bad kid. But yeah, we can save that for another video. That's besides the point. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry that was boring as shit, and I was like in and out and very distracted, but my eyes have been drying out. I need glasses very badly, because it's the only way I can focus on things. That's why you see me like blindly looking over the room and just scanning over it. But that's not the point. Thank you guys again for watching. Like I said, solid 9 out of 10 movie. Please, please, please give No Country for Old Men a watch. It may feel slow, but at the same time, it's worth it. It's like it's very slow. It's like when you get to the end of an ice cream milkshake and the last glob of ice cream is dripping down the cup into your mouth, and you're waiting for it. It's worth it when it gets there, when it reaches your mouth, and then it sits there and it just melts. And it may not... It's a little bit of a bittersweet feeling because you're finishing up your milkshake. And that's it. It's the end of your milkshake. But you did get that one last drop, that one last bit of sweetness out of it. And that's what this movie is. It gives you that sense of that rich taste. And there you go. That's been my analysis and a little bit of review, character, story breakdown, just an overall discussion of No Country for Old Men. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop a like, subscribe, enjoy the film if you do watch it, and that's it.